Rufus, ever the adventurous soul, grinned, his eyes gleaming with excitement.
Important things, Nutmeg replied, her voice hushed. Mrs. Pigeon's eyeglasses, Mr. Toad's lucky pebble, even Old Man Turtle's dentures.
Disappearing, you say? What sort of things?
Rufus, his paws deep in a half-eaten sandwich, looked up, his ears perked with interest.
Rufus, she chirped. Something strange is going on. Things are disappearing.
Rufus the raccoon was a jolly fellow with a nose for trouble. Nutmeg the squirrel, sharp and quick, was always up for an adventure. They lived in a bustling city park, a green haven amidst towering buildings. The park was their kingdom, a world of rustling leaves, chirping birds, and hidden treasures. Rufus, with his bandit mask and playful grin, was the park's charmer. Nutmeg, with her bushy tail and bright eyes, was the brains of the operation. Together, they were the city park's finest, though somewhat unconventional detective duo. One sunny morning, as Rufus was rummaging through a discarded picnic basket, Nutmeg scurried down a tree trunk, her tiny face etched with worry. Sounds like a case for the city park detectives. Rufus, always eager for action, wanted to dive right into the investigation, sniffing out clues with his keen raccoon nose. Nutmeg, however, insisted on a more methodical approach.
We need a plan, Rufus, she declared, her tiny paws tapping on a discarded napkin. First, we need to retrace the steps of the victims. Where were they when they last saw their belongings?
Rufus, though impatient, knew that Nutmeg was right. He might be the brawn, but she was the brains. Together, they formed a formidable team. They began with Mrs. Pigeon, a plump, feathery matron who was distraught over her missing spectacles.
I left them right here on this bench, she cooed, her voice trembling while I took a bath in the fountain.
Rufus sniffed the bench, his nose twitching.
I smell peanuts, he exclaimed. Nutmeg, her eyes narrowed, examined the ground near the bench. Look, Rufus, peanut shells. This could be a clue.
With a new lead, snack-loving thieves, Rufus and Nutmeg plunged deeper into their investigation. They scurried through the park, interviewing its quirky residents, following trails and sniffing out clues. Their journey led them to the edge of the park, where a group of pigeons were huddled, gossiping excitedly.
Have you heard about the missing items? Cooed one pigeon, her feathers ruffled with worry. They say it's a gang of squirrels led by the infamous Whiskers McGee, chirped another, her eyes wide with fear.
Well, 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 sneered Whiskers McGee. Look what the cat dragged in. The city park detectives, here to apprehend me, no doubt. Narrator. Whiskers McGee, Rufus and Nutmeg exchanged a look. They had heard whispers of this notorious squirrel, a cunning rogue known for his daring heists and insatiable appetite for nuts. Could this be their culprit? They decided to seek out Whiskers McGee, a risky move, but one they felt was necessary. They followed the pigeons' directions, venturing into a shadowy corner of the park, a place where the sun rarely reached. There, amidst a tangle of overgrown bushes, they found a hidden clearing. And in the center of the clearing sat Whiskers McGee, a burly squirrel with a sly grin and a glint in his eye.
Rufus stepped forward, puffing out his chest. Whiskers. McGee, we're investigating the case of the missing items, and we have reason to believe you're involved.
Whiskers. McGee chuckled, a deep, throaty sound. Missing items, you say? Why, I haven't seen a single missing item. But if you're looking for a good time, I can offer you some of my finest acorns. Guaranteed to make your tail twitch.
Whiskers McGee lunged for Nutmeg, but Rufus, quick as a flash, intercepted him. A playful tussle ensued, a blur of fur and paws. It was Rufus's playful nature that saved the day. He tickled Whiskers McGee, turning a potentially dangerous confrontation into a harmless scuffle. Amidst the chaos, Nutmeg grabbed the spectacles and scurried up a nearby tree.
From her vantage point, she saw something unexpected. A small group of squirrels huddled together, sorting through a collection of stolen goods. It wasn't Whiskers McGee, but another group of squirrels entirely. These squirrels, as Nutmeg quickly realized, were not a notorious gang, but a family, a group of sisters. And they weren't stealing for themselves, but for their younger siblings, who were too small and weak to gather food on their own. The missing items, it turned out, were not stolen for their value, but for their usefulness. Mrs. Pigeon's spectacles were being used as a magnifying glass to search for tiny insects. Mr. Toad's lucky pebble was a perfect weight to crack open tough nuts. And Old Man Turtle's dentures? They were being used as a makeshift shovel to dig for grubs.
Nutmeg, touched by the sisters' resourcefulness and dedication, climbed down from the tree and explained the situation to a bewildered Rufus and a still chuckling Whiskers McGee. Whiskers McGee, upon hearing the story, surprised them both by bursting into laughter.
"Those sisters, always up to something," he exclaimed, wiping a tear from his eye. "They're harmless, really, just trying to take care of their own." He then proceeded to share a heartwarming story about the Squirrel Sisters and their mischievous antics, painting a picture of a loving family struggling to survive in the big city.
News of the food drive spread through the park like wildfire. Animals from all corners of their little kingdom gathered, bringing their surplus food to share. The squirrels contributed their extra acorns, the pigeons donated their leftover breadcrumbs, and even grumpy old Winston, the bulldog, brought a bag of dog biscuits. The park, usually a place of individual struggles and territorial disputes, was transformed into a community of sharing and caring. Rufus and Nutmeg, the small detectives who had set out to solve a mystery, had inadvertently sparked a wave of generosity and kindness. The Squirrel Sisters, overwhelmed by the outpouring of support, tearfully thanked their fellow park residents. They promised to return the borrowed items and vowed to be more mindful of their neighbors' belongings in the future. The missing items were returned to their rightful owners, much to everyone's relief. Mrs. Pigeon could see clearly again, Mr. Toad had his lucky charm back, and Old Man Turtle could finally enjoy his dandelion salad. The park buzzed with joy and relief, a heartwarming testament to the power of community and understanding. Rufus, always the life of the party, organized a celebratory feast, using the donated food to create a grand banquet for all the park residents. They feasted on acorns, berries, seeds, and biscuits, their hearts filled with gratitude and camaraderie. Nutmeg, watching the joyous scene, felt a surge of pride. They had not only solved the mystery, but had also brought the park together in a way she had never thought possible. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the park, Rufus and Nutmeg sat together on their favorite bench, reflecting on the day's adventures.
"We did it, Nutmeg," Rufus said, his voice filled with satisfaction. "We solved the mystery and helped everyone in the park. We learned that even the smallest of creatures can make a big difference," she replied. They had faced a daunting challenge, a mystery that threatened the harmony of their little world. But through their courage, their wit, and their kindness, they had not only solved the mystery, but had also brought their community closer together.
The Great Nut Caper, as it came to be known, was a testament to their unique abilities. Rufus, with his boundless enthusiasm and infectious charm, had disarmed even the most suspicious of characters. Nutmeg, with her sharp intellect and methodical approach, had unraveled the truth behind the missing items. Together, they had proven that size doesn't matter when it comes to heroism. Even the smallest of creatures, with their unique talents and unwavering determination, can make a world of difference. As the last rays of sunlight faded, Rufus and Nutmeg knew that their work as the city park detectives was far from over. Their little kingdom, like the bustling city around it, was full of mysteries waiting to be solved, challenges waiting to be overcome, and opportunities to make a difference. And they, the small but mighty detective duo, were ready for whatever adventures lay ahead. For they had learned a valuable lesson that true heroism lies not in size or strength, but in the courage to face the unknown, the wit to unravel the truth, and the kindness to lend a helping paw to those in need.